Now, this will be the last topic we talk about, so here's your out if you're not caught up in The Flash, up through the mid-season finale, where we can say Reverse Flash kind of manifested much more than before. So, still with us? Let's go. At TCA, it was interesting because the way the last episode of The Flash, and we did talk about this, ended was Wells walking up. He had the costume.
Right. And seemingly was
Reverse Flash.
But then Joshua and I did a whole discussion going like, but is he really? And we sort of theorized about ways that maybe he's not, or that he sort of is. And then at TCA's, we basically got that answer, which is like, yeah, no, he is, but he's also sort of not.
Yeah, because I directly asked Tom Cavanaugh and the producers, because they also had imagery up at, the theme. They had a Flash Arrow panel that was like the heroes and villains. And they had these cool images on the screen flashing by that were the comic book version of the character with the Arrow or Flash version.
Yeah.
So here's, Arsenal in the comics next to a picture of Colton Hayes in the red costume.
Right.
They very pointedly showed a comic book image of Reverse Flash next to Tom Cavanaugh.
And in the press write-up, it basically had Tom Cavanaugh.
Yeah.
Reverse Flash.
Yeah,
It had it right there. And then he said to you, when you asked directly, he's like, what are you trying to ask? He was being very coy.
Yeah.
And you said, well, are you the Reverse Flash?
I said, are you the guy in the yellow costume?
And he's like, yes, I am. And then he kind of looks back at the producers, and I'm like, what is going on? And so we both followed up. You were talking, I think, to Berlanti, and I was talking to Kreisberg.
Yeah.
And he basically was like, yes and no, because there's another character on the show that has that history, right?
Yeah.
So talk about that.
Well, yeah, so you got Eddie, who they've tweaked his name slightly, but is clearly, based on the character who in the comics is Reverse Flash, aka Professor Zoom. So, the way the show was aiming, obviously was giving us two main suspects to be Reverse Flash, Eddie or Wells.
And then what Kreisberg said was yes, Eddie's history he said with, not as, Reverse Flash is going to be explored. We're not going to ignore it. And they never have. They don't do that on this show. They play with the histories, but they don't abandon them altogether of the characters.
Eddie won't be just a cop.
He won't just be Eddie, you know?
Yeah.
He just won't. And so he's like, that's going to come out and that's going to be explored. And I said, my theory to him was like, well, how I feel about Wells is that no matter what he's doing, even if it's seemingly evil, or frankly straight up is evil, that he's doing everything in the service of making Barry into the Flash. I don't know why, but that's why he's doing anything. And he kind of looks and he's like, yeah, I definitely want something from him.
Yeah.
And you're going to see sort of that more play out. He's like, but that's the thing about that character, about Wells, is that he's always got that double motivation going on of thinking am I doing the best thing for the city? Is this the right thing in this moment?
Yeah.
So to me, that said that Wells isn't just an evil guy. He's not just out there for villainy.
Well, he definitely has seemed to be protective of the Flash too, for whatever reasons.
Yeah.
But I will say, because that day was funny, because I will say I was kind of at the moment feeling underwhelmed. I'm like, that's weird. Is this just how because Wells walking up to the costume still left that room for questions he has the costume, but doesn't mean he's wearing the costume.
Yeah.
Is he in league with the person wearing it? Yeah. So for them to just be like, oh, yeah, he is, was very strange and felt like this weird tossed off way to confirm this major mystery.
Yeah.
So I already felt like there had to be more to it, and then I'm glad for them to basically insinuate there's more. He is, but there's something else.
But there's a little something else because Eddie could have time travel,
right?
So that could be an element of that too. He's coming from the future. We don't know. I mean, obviously, Wells is playing with time. He can see things from the future. So I think there's an element of time travel in there.
They've confirmed time travel is about to be introduced.
And that was another thing that we talked about in that scrum was basically the Weather Wizard is going to, played by none other than Spartacus himself, is going to introduce time travel, and that's where we'll see it. And it's going to be an accident that introduces it, but that it's going to come with the Weather Wizard, and that definitely the other thing is obviously I've been thinking this from the beginning. When are they going to realize there were two speedsters when his mom got killed? And now they do.
Right.
And he's like, there's going to be an investigation launched into that and what was going on there.
Yeah.
It's all going to tie together.
Yeah, Eddie, because even if Eddie right now is just a cop. up. Like he's about to be brought in, to this world, and I think in a much bigger way. Yeah, just because it just can't be that simple.
It just can't be that simple. And the other thing that he said to him, I remember when they in that episode that introduced him, it was like, we've been playing this dance forever, and I'm always 10 steps ahead of you. And so I was like, okay, future man, obviously from the future man.
From the future man, yeah. So we will learn more. The Flash is back, tonight as we record this. So,
it is.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a reverse Flash heavy episode. We'll be learning more, plenty more about the Flash to come.